The Phillies have the best record in Major League Baseball and officially acquired Carlos Estevez to be one of their late inning relievers in high leverage situations, and just got a lot better with that addition, as the MLB Trade Deadline seems to be firing on all cylinders days before the deadline is actually here. Esetvez has been a very reliable reliever for the Halos after escaping Coors Field in 2022, and now heading into free agency, he continues to capitalize on a very solid 2023 where he was an all-star, and having an even better 2024 where frankly he probably should have been an all-star with a dominating performance as the closer for the Angels so far this year. In return for Esetvez services for a couple months, the Phillies give up 2 of their pitching prospects who have some excitement around them as the Angels look to go ahead and retool their rotation and bullpen as they hope to enter a competitive window sooner rather than later. In this video, we'll dive into the Carlos Estevez trades that literally just happened a couple minutes ago and give you breakdowns on every player involved in this deal, as well as figuring out who won and who lost this trade with a gut reaction trade grade for both sides. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and consider subscribing to the channel. It's the easiest way to support me, and you get breakdowns for almost every trade this MLB Trade Deadline. And you also get some other really great video essays about baseball from me and other great baseball content creators out there as well. Without further ado, let's dive into the Carlos Estevez trade that just dropped. Carlos Estevez might be the best closer available at the 2024 trade deadline, and he has officially been taken off the market, leaving Tanner Scott as the only real big-name reliever left available that teams are likely to fight over. Estevez has had a very good 2024, his best season of his career, 1-3 record, but a 2.38 ERA with a 2.85 FIP, showing he's been phenomenal in that high leverage role. 20 saves so far this year. He had 31 last year, and he's also striking out a ton, 32 batters across 34 innings pitched, while he's only walked 5, which is incredibly impressive. He has an astronomically low walk rate, and when you couple that with his decently high strikeout rate for someone who is not a strikeout pitcher, you're looking at a very formidable player who can really help you win games in the postseason, and that's exactly what the Phillies are hoping to do in 2024. He has a 3-pitch mix. He does have a curveball that he uses very rarely, about a 1% usage rate, but his main reliance is on his four-seam fastball. He uses it over 60% of the time. It's touched 100 miles an hour. It averages just over 96 miles an hour. He also has a slider with 10 miles an hour of difference between it. It's been seen up around 95. It's been as low as 84. A huge variety of ways he can pitch with that pitch. It's faster than league average almost consistently as well. And his changeup averages about 89, which is incredibly fast for a changeup. He has great control of all of these pitches, which is why he's able to have such a low walk rate and be able to strike out batters at the same time. It's a very valuable thing. He's most likely going to get paid decently well this offseason, but the Phillies aren't looking for this offseason. They're looking to be the ones with the rings on their finger this offseason. And Esetvez, the best reliever on the market, especially after they just traded Seranthony Dominguez, feels an immediate need for the Phillies that they absolutely needed to fill heading into the postseason of another reliable back-end arm. Although I wouldn't be shocked to see them also add a starting pitcher given that Ranger Suarez just hit the injured list. This is a huge boost to their pitching staff. They now have another arm that can go with Jeff Hoffman, Matt Strahm, Gregory Soto, and Orion Kerkering to really have a formidable back end of that bullpen. You now have 5 arms that you're happy to go ahead and throw in a high leverage situation. Some more than others. Yes, I'd probably take Esetvez over someone like Gregory Soto, and Kerkering is still young, not a ton of experience, but he is a very valuable piece, and that is a very formidable back end of the bullpen, and we've seen time and time again, save for maybe the Rangers last year, that bullpens are a huge piece in winning a World Series. The biggest name heading back in this deal is George Klassen, who before the season was ranked the 28th prospect in the Phillies system, but has had a dominant year so far this year, and I think most people would agree he's a top 5 prospect in this system now, and Baseball America tends to agree as they have him as the 5th best prospect in a very stacked minor league system. He was the Phillies' 6th round pick in the 2023 MLB draft out of the University of Minnesota, known for his dominating fastball. It averages 98 miles an hour, it tops up at triple digits, and it is a put-away pitch beyond belief. He also has an above-average curveball and slider known to put away hitters, and a changeup that could still use some work, but is a decent enough third pitch that there is some potential for him to use that to get outs if need be.
Klassen says ball don't lie, and De La Cruz strikes out swinging.
At 38%, here's the pitch, slider, swing and a miss, he struck him out.
And a swing and a miss there for strike 3. So Klassen picks up his first strikeout of the game. 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed for strike 3. Throw down to first, but Anthony wasn't covering. Payoff pitch. Swung on and missed for strike 3, and that'll end the inning. And that's in there for a called strike 3. And now the 1-2 pitch to Baez. Swung on and missed again.
He has a 3-pitch mix. You can maybe drop that change up. He has a cutter that he's added recently that looks very good as well, and be a very, very good back-end bullpen piece if he doesn't end up long-term as a starter. He's still acclimating a little bit to pitching in high A, only 5 starts there so far, 21 1/3 innings pitched, but 32 strikeouts, which is definitely impressive. His peripherals look good as well at that level. I wouldn't be shocked to see him pitch in Double A maybe to start 2025 and potentially be a fast riser if he can continue to dominate there, but there is a big jump between high A and Double A, so we'll see. But if anyone can do it, Klassen is a good bet to make a big jump in 2025. Samuel Aldegheri, who was the other player traded in this deal, was signed out of Italy in the 2019 international signing class, and looks to be one of the first Italian players to play in the Major League Baseballs in the 2000s, which is crazy to think about. He came in as another poorly ranked prospect, someone that a lot of people thought needed to prove himself after signing in 2019, as he only had 4 pitches, all about average, and could really use a little bump to see if he truly belonged in the rotation or if he'd have to find a medium to low leverage role in the bullpen. And so far in 2024, he's proved that he's ready to go and take a potential middle or back end rotation spot at the major league level, is currently where his ceiling lies. He started off in high A to begin the year, a 6-5 record, 3.18 ERA, and struck out 95 batters and 68 innings pitched, only walking 28, definitely a positive sign there, before getting the promotion recently to the Reading Iron Pigs, their Double A affiliate, with an 0-2 record, only 3.60 ERA, striking out 14 batters across 10 innings, only walking 4, so definitely a positive showing as he's now reached the Fighting Phils in that Double A affiliate. Aldegheri definitely looks to be the first Italian-born pitcher to make the major leagues since 1950, which is crazy to think about. He has a decent 4-pitch mix, nothing's going to blow you away. His fastball sits in the mid to low 90s, and that's complemented well with a slider and curveball that both tunnel relatively well with that fastball, and a changeup that he's recently introduced and has already jumped that curveball to be the 3rd best pitch. If he does end up having to move to a reliever role, which is possible, he has slightly below average control, but it's definitely nothing to scoff at. He probably would end up dropping that curveball and trying to find a different pitch to kind of mix and match with. But right now he has an interesting mix. He's done very well so far at that Double A level and at the high A level, showing that maybe he does have the stuff to be a nice serviceable back end of the rotation lefty who can get you out, eat innings, and be a solid contributor to a major league pitching staff. Now that we've gone ahead and looked at all the players in this deal, let's go ahead and give these teams grades on their trade and see which team won and which team lost. I think for the Phillies, it's a very easy A-. I think that they really did address an area that could use an improvement, which is the back end of their bullpen, and really just solidified it. I don't know if I want to get past the 6th inning with not having a lead in Philadelphia, as they have more than enough options to go ahead and put you away, pick their battles, who's best for a situation, and make sure that their bullpen is ready to go for any part of the lineup that might have to come up. The rotation right now could use some work. Obviously, they have a lot of injuries that have hampered them outside of Wheeler, Nola, and Christopher Sanchez, so we'll see what they do to address that, if anything. But right now, all they need to do is have Tyler Phillips, Colby Allard, whoever is that 4th starter in the postseason, get to the 5th inning, the 6th inning, and turn it over to the bullpen, where you now have a bunch of high-leverage arms that can go ahead and get you outs. The reason why I don't have this higher is because when you look at their prospect list, I drive their prospect rankings into tiers, and I think their number 1 prospect by far, Andrew Painter, a right-handed pitcher, far and away great. But in their next tier of pitchers, George Klassen and Aldegheri are the only 2 pitchers I have in that tier, before you drop down to other players who I think are less skilled and have less potential ceiling. I think the Phillies system is flush with outfielders and infielders that they could have potentially traded away from that depth, but they didn't, and now I find them having a little bit less depth in that pitching core. Hopefully they can develop players like Wei-Hu Pan, who was recently signed as international free agent, could definitely see their value rise and be a quick riser, and replace some of that. Mika Bell could come back and restore some of his prospect pedigree that has really been tough since injuries have really made things difficult with him going and becoming a dominant player. But the Phillies still have some potential. Aldegheri needs to be added to the 40-man, which is a good reason to get rid of him. They probably didn't have a ton of space there. So I can't hate it, but I do wonder how good their depth is going to be in their pitching rotation ranks going forward in the minor leagues as the draft is over and they didn't take a pitcher with their first pick. For the Angels, I'm also going to give this an A-, and that's mostly because I think there's significant reliever risk, especially with George Klassen. Klassen was a high riser in 2024. Showed that he has the pedigree to potentially be a dominant player. The Phillies, knowing he's a project, knowing that they had to adjust some of their arm slots to get the most out of what Klassen can put out, went ahead and really made a full force effort to get him to go and be a good pitcher, and he's proved it so far. He's been very good to start. The Angels, I don't know if I believe in them to really go and take a project and develop him that they need to be. The same argument could somewhat be made for Samuel Aldegheri, as he's someone who is another high ceiling, low floor kind of player. He could end up being at best a low or middle leverage reliever, which is a very big variance range from someone who could be a nice plus third starter in a rotation. The Angels, again, I just don't trust their development, and I think Aldegheri needs to have some more time in the minor leagues, more time going and developing and getting more refinement with his pitches, maybe trying to get a mile an hour or two on that fastball, refining his slider a little bit more, refining his changeup, refining his curveball. There's a lot that he needs to do to really cement himself in that role, and I just don't trust the Angels to do that. I think the Angels need to take players who are more established in what they have, and that they're comfortable saying, okay, we trust what you have, just go build on it, instead of trying to go and develop these players who need some improvement. That's why I have it a little bit lower, not because of what these players can be, but because I don't trust what the Angels can make them into. I think immediately their value drops a little bit on my prospect rankings internally because they're just in a bad organization, which if any prospect ranker will tell you, it is something that you have to consider. And thank you so much for getting to the end of this video. Make sure to respond to the comments who you think won this deal, who you're excited about this postseason, what prospects you think might end up get traded. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, please. It really helps out a lot, and it's the easiest way to support a channel like mine, and you'll get more baseball content for all the trades that happen this trade deadline. Thank you again for ending the video here with me, and I hope to see you in the very next video.